There's this institution in American sports that's supposed to be sacred ground. It's meant to immortalize the absolute greatest figures in the game. But a recent decision has a lot of people asking if its halls are still hallowed, or if maybe they're turning into something else entirely.
Whoa, okay, the Hall of Shame? Those are some seriously strong words. So let's get right into it, because that is the fiery reaction to a decision that has sent absolute shockwaves through the NFL world. A decision that some say challenges the very idea of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And here's the news that lit the fuse. Robert Kraft, the guy who's owned the New England Patriots for, well, forever, was not selected. He didn't get enough votes from the 50-person selection committee to make it into the class of 2026. And look, this isn't just a simple no. For many people, this feels like an outright rejection of an entire dynasty. So you have to ask, right? How does an owner with one of the most dominant runs in sports history just get left at the door? I mean, let's actually take a look at his resume. What are we dealing with here? 32 years. For over 3 decades, Robert Kraft has been the man at the top of the Patriots. That's 32 years of leadership that didn't just transform a franchise. You could argue it transformed the league itself. And just look at these numbers, it's just staggering. We're talking 20 division titles, 6 Super Bowl rings, and an incredible 11 trips to the big game. Think about that for a second. In his 32 years, his team made it to the Super Bowl roughly once every 3 seasons. That level of consistent excellence is it's insane. And after all of that, denied. The man who oversaw that incredible run of dominance was basically told, not yet. It's such a jarring contrast, and for a lot of people watching this, the decision just does not compute. And here's the thing, this isn't some isolated incident. This snub of Kraft comes right on the heels of the legendary coach Bill Belichick also being denied on his first try. So all of a sudden, it's not about one guy anymore. You start to see a pattern. The architects of the Patriots dynasty are being kept out. And that brings us to the backlash. And believe me, this isn't just quiet disappointment. This is loud, public outrage from some of the biggest voices in sports, who are basically saying this is a fundamental failure of the institution. That really says it all, doesn't it? The sentiment isn't just that it's wrong, it's egregious and disgusting. The feeling is that the Hall of Fame voters have made an unforgivable mistake, one that goes against everything the Hall is supposed to stand for. So here's the crucial point. The criticism isn't just that 2 guys got snubbed. It's about the Hall of Fame itself. The argument is that if you start keeping out the most successful people from an entire era, you're just cheapening your own brand. You're losing all your credibility. And, well, this pattern of denying the key figures of a dynasty, it leads to a pretty terrifying and logical next question. If the Hall is rejecting the guys who built this thing, it really makes you wonder, this is the question just hanging over this whole controversy. If the owner and the coach who basically defined football in the 21st century aren't immediate slam dunk first ballot guys, what's next? Where does it end? And there it is, the question that sounds absolutely unthinkable. Could they possibly deny the greatest quarterback of all time? Based on the precedent they seem to be setting, a lot of people are afraid the answer might not be as obvious as it should be. I mean, this table just lays it out perfectly. You've got 8 championships for the coach, denied. 6 for the owner, denied. And now you have the quarterback, with 7 of his own, waiting for his turn. The trend is undeniable. And if you're a fan of the game, it is deeply concerning. And that's the bottom line. If this trend continues, and if Tom Brady is not a first-ballot Hall of Famer, many people believe the whole institution just becomes meaningless. It would be a catastrophic, self-inflicted wound that the Hall of Fame might never recover from. It's over. So how could any of this even happen? Well, the criticism is now turning to the system itself. A system that happens behind closed doors and allows for these kinds of shocking results. And this comparison really gets to the heart of the problem. On one hand, you have the players and coaches. They build their entire careers out in the open, under massive pressure, judged by millions every single Sunday. But on the other hand, you have the voters, who make these career-defining judgments in private, with absolutely no public accountability for their decisions. Now, this is a provocative comparison, but it makes a powerful point. In our legal system, even an accused criminal gets a public trial. The jury has to deliver its verdict out in the open. But Hall of Fame candidates, they get judged in private with none of that transparency. And all of this, it culminates in one final, very stark warning about where this whole path could lead and what the ultimate consequence for the Pro Football Hall of Fame could be. So here's the specific fear. The word on the street is that some voters held controversies like Spygate against Bill Belichick. So if that's the standard they're using, what's to stop them from using that, or Deflategate, to deny Tom Brady his rightful immediate spot in Canton? And that really leaves us with the ultimate question here. What is a Hall of Fame if it doesn't include the most dominant, most successful, and most important people from an entire generation? Does it just become a museum of personal grudges instead of a true record of greatness? And that's the final word from the critics. It's a metaphor, of course, but it's a deeply serious warning. If the Hall of Fame snubs Tom Brady, it may as well just cease to exist, because its purpose, its credibility, and its very soul will have already turned to ash.